Okay, so we're going to take a look at the Fuxia movement. Fuxia translates to subduing hand. So it means what it says, is to subdue a person via this Fuxia shape. It's essentially kind of like a hook which connects to your opponent's limb, and it sticks to them. So it's like a sticky hook, so that as Carlsen goes to move his limb around in any direction, I can keep a sense of connection and control via the Fuxia, or this sticky hook, we might say. Now, the shape of the Fuxia is, like I said, like a hook. So you can see it hooks over like this. I think they call this a false grip in wrestling. And essentially this little crevice here is the kind of the central part which kind of helps you to stick into the other person. Now the fingers also kind of hook around, so you can get a little bit of connection with the, I'll do it from this side, with the fingers, you see. So there's like connection with the fingers as well, but you really want to kind of target that wrist crevice as the part which stays connected to the person. I mean, it doesn't have to be precisely that, but that's just a good guideline or demarcation of where you're looking to actually maintain contact with your opponent. Now, Fuxia, like I mentioned earlier, is about subduing another person. It's not so much an offensive movement, it's more defensive in its nature, which can lead into offense. So what I mean by that is that it can be more, so as he goes to strike, I might use this to control that area, but then that can lead into attacks. So I control with the Fuxia and then lead into attacks. So it can be a step on the way to offense. Now, it can be used in multiple angles and directions. It does not only have to be here, like practiced in the form. And on that note, when we practice it in the form, the mechanic is to keep approximately the wrist coming through the center line, the elbow arcing into the center. So there's an inward arc of the elbow into the center in order to stop incoming strikes coming through. Meaning, as I arc my elbow into the center and Carlsen comes through to hit, the directionality of my elbow prevents force coming straight to me. Whereas if my elbow were to arc outward, Carlsen would be able to actually strike through my center. So what that looks like when I face you is that my elbow arcs this way to control this line, as opposed to this way where that line would be open. Now, as you develop your skill and your internal power is evolved, then you should be able to have the elbow arcing out and still maintain the center, but that's for a later date. Now, once again, coming back to the form movement, wrist stays on center, elbow arcs into the center line, shoulder stays as relaxed as possible so that that can rotate the joint into the center. Now, it's better to have a slight layer of tension in the shoulder joint and do the movement correctly, meaning have the elbow arcing into the center, than having your shoulder completely relaxed, but your movement's incorrect. So that once again comes back to what my master said originally. Make sure your shapes are beautiful first, and then you can zoom or relax into them. So you've got it on the center, elbow arcing in. It can move on multiple directions. So in a more application idea, it can go upward along this plane as well, which you'll see in Chisao. Or maybe I'm out on this side here, I can have the Fuxia position there. As his punch comes in, I still maintain that Fuxia connection. So it's actually quite a dynamic position. It's not limited to just here. It is practiced here once again for, I think it seems another purpose for this is that of practicing it, we practice it 3 times in the form, right, on each arm. So that's, more times than a lot of the other movements, which are only done once, for example. Because this position here, firstly, the Fuxia is quite good defensively, but secondly, in this position, with the forearm quite low, so we're not doing a Fuxia up here, it's kind of parallel to the floor to a degree, not exactly, but close enough, is that in this position, it's quite easy to let all the muscles release and get a sense of connection with your structure. Meaning, as I go through the Fuxia movement here, if I center and sense my structure, it's much easier to get that connection because it's easier to keep the muscles soft and relaxed here than it would be, for example, doing a Fuxia up here, because you have to deal with a larger amount of pressure because of the positioning of your limb. So this is actually quite a good position to get that sense of connection from your center through to the actual structures in your arms. So, often people would just stand there like this at my masters, or like this, just trying to get a sense of connection from the center through to the limbs as well. Okay, so there's a few little concepts for you on the Fuxia movement. We'll get into some exercises in the next video.